Seriously, guys, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. I mean, how is it that a movie so closely predicted the toxic train derailment in Ohio? The movie that I'm talking about is called White Noise. Now, you may have checked it out in the movies. Adam Driver is in it. So yeah, it's just plain spooky if you put the two side by side. Here, check this out.
Let's watch a sitcom or something.
No! They're calling it the airborne toxic event.
We won't come this way.
Will we have to leave our home?
Of course not.
How do you know?
I just know.
On February 3rd, about 50 train cars, including several carrying hazardous materials, derailed and later burst into flames, forcing almost half the town to evacuate. Now, fortunately, no one was killed, but to prevent an explosion, officials conducted a controlled release of toxic chemicals, sending a massive dark cloud of toxic fumes billowing across the small town.
What do you guys think? Is this a prediction, a coincidence, or do we have a full-blown conspiracy on our hands? Just drop a quick comment yes or no down below. Let's look at the angles here. Matter of fact, let's look at all the angles. I mean, it is definitely something that could have come straight out of a movie. An evil corporation poisons the local town and tries to cover it up with the help of local government that they're paying. But look at the headlines that they're pushing down our throats. Ohio to open a clinic amid growing health concerns over train derailment. Norfolk Southern CEO says Ohio town safe after chemical train derailment. EPA chief, Ohio governor drink tap water near train derailment site after heavy criticism. I mean, does this look like honest news to you, or are they just trying to hide something? Plus the fact that that movie came out just a couple of months before this. I don't know, guys. Even down to the city. The coincidences, they're just lining up too perfectly. I'm just getting this really bad feeling about this, you know? Anyway, we need to make sure to look out for the American people here, especially those on fixed income like Social Security and SNAP benefits, people who couldn't necessarily afford to just move away while they try to sort things out. How is this affecting the working class people, right? They say that Norfolk Southern needs to pay for healthcare costs related to the East Palestine train derailment, and parents are commenting, quote, "I can't think of anything else right now except if my children are going to be safe," end quote. Yeah, I can only imagine what they're going through. Now, if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description down below, you guys. It only takes like 15 seconds. Now, I got boots on the ground information for you guys. Now, apparently there's this whole network of trains and trucks that are going all over the country, carrying all sorts of horrific, nasty chemicals that could just burn your face off or your lungs. Here's what one driver said. As a retired tractor trailer driver of 35 years, let me just tell you there are horrific chemicals going all over the country by roads daily. Stuff that's so bad that you get a splash the size of a quarter on your skin and you are dead because it shuts your liver off. There isn't a thing anyone's going to do about it because there's no other way to get the product to where it needs to be. I mean, come on, guys. Sure, these hazardous chemicals, they need to be moved around, but hey, they certainly need to be moving things around a little bit safer, right? Unless it's like this lingering threat the government and their corporate overlords want to always keep hanging over our heads. If anybody crosses the line, then toxic fumes for you. I'm just kidding, but seriously, what do you guys think? Could all this be orchestrated by some higher up elites and investors operating in the shadows? I'm gonna let you guys be the judge. Now let's take a closer look into this movie, White Noise, and how the line between fiction and reality starts to get a little blurry. The premise of the movie is that a tanker truck carrying toxic materials crashes into a train in a small Ohio town, creating an airborne toxic event. Wait a minute, doesn't this sound eerily familiar? Well, the movie premiered in August of 2022, and 6 months after, February 3rd, a real-life freight train derailment occurred in the small town of East Palestine, Ohio. Coincidence? I don't know. But the similarities don't stop there. Just as in the movie White Noise, the East Palestine derailment resulted in venting and burning of carcinogenic chemicals. And even more disturbing, White Noise was shot almost entirely in Northeast Ohio, where several East Palestine residents worked as extras in the movie. Ben Ratner, an East Palestine resident who played an extra in White Noise, he said that the film hits too close to home. They continued on to say that the first half of the movie is almost exactly what is going on here. Everybody's been talking about that. No wonder that since the train derailment, the trailer for White Noise has been viewed on YouTube more than 325,000 times. more than double the number of views during the previous 2 weeks. I'll leave a link in the description of this video down below if you guys want to check out that movie. Some people are floating the idea of predictive programming. It's this theory that the government or other higher-ups are using fictional movies or books as a mass mind control tool to kind of make the population be more accepting of planned future events. Now, this was first described and proposed by researcher Alan Watt, who defines predictive programming as predictive programming is a subtle form of psychological conditioning provided by the media to acquaint the public with planned societal changes to be implemented by our leaders. If and when these changes are put through, the public will already be familiarized with them and will accept them as natural progressions, thus lessening public resistance and commotion, end quote. Maybe something along the lines of The Simpsons predicting Trump winning the elections. But hey, they may be onto something here. I mean, the Ohio train derailment happening a couple of months after the movie came out? There's got to be something there, right? Let me know if this is making sense to you guys, or maybe this is all just in my head. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And just like in the movies, they had an evil company. Well, in real life, we had Norfolk Southern, together with the questionable local government, trying to put glitter on their horse excrement. Okay, so first, the Ohio Health Department is launching a clinic in East Palestine to address mounting health concerns among residents after a train derailment prompted Norfolk Southern officials to release and burn toxic chemicals in the area to avoid an explosion. From what I learned about the toxic chemical exposure, the serious illnesses and side effects happen a long time after the exposure. Now, this is where I tell you guys, mark this date. Put this on your calendars. Let's see how well Norfolk Southern and Ohio government are going to follow through with these healthcare promises, especially when mainstream media stops trying to pour perfume all over this bleep show and moves on to the next train wreck. All right, so the rail company, they're already facing multiple class action lawsuits from members of East Palestine community all over this incident. The state attorney general's office had indicated its plans to take legal action against Norfolk Southern as well. Some residents say that they have suffered health issues, while others say that they found dead animals, including fish and chicken in the area. For the most part, those suing the rail companies say that they have lost incomes because of the evacuations, that they were exposed to cancer-causing chemicals, and that they no longer feel safe in their homes. One of the class action lawsuits alleges that the rail company discharged more cancer-causing vinyl chloride into the environment in the course of a week than all industrial emitters combined did in the course of a year. In a public update, Norfolk Southern said that in addition to continuing cleanup work, it was distributing more than $2 million in financial assistance to families and businesses to help with the cost of the evacuation. It also said that it was creating a $1 million fund for the community. Now, you can definitely smell the damage control by mainstream media to try to make this seem like a silly coincidence and that Norfolk Southern is being extra generous with these checks. But if you think about it, you know, with all the people involved, $1 million being spread among potentially hundreds, maybe even thousands of people, that's chump change. Some of the people that I've been talking to are saying that they've been giving these handouts in exchange for the residents keeping their mouths shut about this whole incident. Do you guys think that's right? Former President Donald Trump, he visited the site of the toxic train derailment in Ohio, but this raises all sorts of questions. Now, during his time, Trump's administration withdrew an Obama-era proposal to require faster brakes on trains carrying highly flammable materials, ended regular rail safety audits on railroads, and mothballed a pending rule requiring freight trains to have at least 2 crew members. He also placed a veteran in the chemical industry in charge of the Environmental Protection Agency's Chemical Safety Office, where she made industry-friendly changes to how the agency studied health risks. A little suspicious there too. Norfolk Southern CEO Alan Shaw said that he thinks it's safe for families to return to East Palestine, Ohio, just 3 weeks after toxic chemicals were released following a train derailment earlier this month. Asked whether he would bring his own children to the town, Shaw said, quote, yes. I've come back multiple times. I'm drinking the water there. I've interacted with the families here, end quote. The company previously offered residents $1,000 inconvenience checks, but a Cleveland attorney cautioned residents that these checks would get residents to waive future claims against the company. Still, Shaw promised that, quote, we're going to be here tomorrow. We're going to be here a year from now. We're going to be here 5 years from now. We're going to do what's right for this community and help this community get back on its feet and help this community thrive, end quote. What I want to know is whether they're going to be there when mainstream media moves on to the next train wreck. So here's a video I found of Ohio Governor Mike DeWine and Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Michael Reagan supposedly drinking tap water from a home in East Palestine. I'm gonna let you guys be the judge.
The governor of Ohio and an EPA administrator visited East Palestine, Ohio, and during that visit, a woman asked if anyone wanted a drink of water, and that is when Governor Mike DeWine, the EPA administrator, and Ohio Congressman Bill Johnson all volunteered filling up at the kitchen sink and taking a drink. The Environmental Protection Agency says the air and water in the town, they are all safe, but still the governor is estimating that cleanup at the site of the derailment is only about halfway done.
Now, did it look like they were comfortable drinking that water? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Now, it's just hard to wrap your head around what they're saying is safe now. 20 cars in that whole train wreck contained hazardous materials. Several cars were carrying vinyl chloride, which is a known cancer-causing substance. Other cars held other hazardous substances. 5 of the derailed cars were carrying vinyl chloride, which is a man-made substance that is a key ingredient in PVC, the hard plastic resin used widely in construction and healthcare. It's the sweet-smelling, colorless gas that causes respiratory symptoms like shortness of breath, along with neurological symptoms like headaches and dizziness. Chronic exposure to high levels of vinyl chloride has been associated with liver damage and cancer, according to the CDC. Other hazardous chemicals on the train included ethylene, glycol, minobutyl ether, ethyl hexyl, acrylate, and isobutylene. All can cause irritation or neurological symptoms like dizziness and headaches. One tank car lost its entire load of butyl acrylate, which is a clear liquid that is used to make paint, adhesives, and caulk. The New Jersey Department of Health warns that exposure to butyl acrylate can cause headache, dizziness, nausea, and irritation to the nose, throat, and lungs. And so this is why residents are demanding that Norfolk Southern needs to pay for healthcare costs related to the East Palestine train derailment. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine even said this, quote, "The railroad needs to pay for anything that they caused, anything that they did. So when someone shows up at the clinic and if they do not have insurance, the railroad needs to be made to pay for that," end quote. Parents in East Palestine are commenting how the train derailment has upended their family life. One said this, quote, "I can't think of anything else right now except if my children are going to be safe," end quote. In times like this, you really need to have your financial education cap ready. You shouldn't let these evil corporations get away with murder. Now, I bet you guys know instances where someone you know got screwed over by a big company. Feel free to share your experiences down below. Let's see what we can do about it. But let me know if you guys want to learn more about class action lawsuits and big payouts that you might deserve from these companies. There's definitely a lot more to look forward to in my coming updates, guys. And for your daily dose of the truth, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also make sure your notification bells turn on. But I hope you got all the information from today's Ohio toxic train derailment update and daily news report. The Ohio toxic train derailment, possibly a part of the government's predictive programming, what looks to be a mainstream media cover-up, and the weak response from Norfolk Southern. Appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, I really appreciate all the views, the comments, and the likes, especially on every video. This video is likely to be suppressed, so I totally appreciate the likes and thumbs up to help get this information out there. Appreciate you guys watching. Always be kind to one another, and I'll see you in the next video.